This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 122.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 122, and today I'll be answering a question from Extra Paycheck blog reader. And to be honest, I've had this question asked several times by email, and the question is, how do you pick a good hosting provider for your website, for your blog, and for your business? Now, it seems like a very simple question, but it is in fact a complicated one, because it is really important to pick a reliable provider because your whole business will depend on it. Your website, your blog, your e-commerce, whatever you're building there online, it depends on that hosting provider quite majorly. And if something goes down, something breaks within that provider, if your hosting isn't working, then your whole business is down and it's not making you money. So it is, as I mentioned, a hard decision and a complicated one. And I'll try to help you understand how this works. And I'll try to help you pick a good service provider when it comes to website hosting. So first thing first, you need a paid hosting. There's no such a thing as good free hosting. Believe me, I've tried that. I've looked for them, and there's always a catch. There's always a problem. And most of the time, they're not reliable. They're down often, and their support is non-existent pretty much. So you need to pay for your hosting. Now, there are a few different ways to get hosting with something else, like Wealthy Affiliate that I'm talking about on my website. They provide a free hosting with their plans. But I know that most people aren't using these kind of resources and they wouldn't have access to that free hosting, which is actually good. So let's talk about paid hosting and how to find a good one. When it comes to hosting, most people will go for a shared plan. Shared plan means that there are many different websites on a single server, meaning that your website and a whole bunch of websites from other people will be on the same server. Now, this is a good solution because it's really cheap. That kind of hosting is really cheap. You could get it for $3, $4, $5 per month, which is really nothing. And the only big issue with this is that if one of these websites, let's say on the same server, gets attacked or hacked or targeted by some hacker group, there's a chance that the whole server will go down and all of the sites will suffer. However, this shouldn't really be a concern for you because it's really rare that it happens. I've never had it happen to me when I used many different web hosting providers in the past, and I've never seen that happen. I've heard of people having that experience, but once again, it's really rare and it shouldn't really be a concern for you. Another thing that you should really pay attention to, especially on shared hosting plans, most companies tell you that you're getting unlimited bandwidth. There's completely no limit. You could get as many people as you want, and it's untrue. Actually, if you read through their fine print, unlimited doesn't exist. Unlimited means that, well, most of the time, once again, you could put a lot of data on it. You could put a lot of files. You could have some people coming to your website, but there is a limit to the number of people who can be on your website at the same time. And I'm not clear on what that limit is, but I've heard normally that a few hundred people, like 200, 300, 400 people at the same moment will crash your website. Not only that, but most hosting providers, they'll give you a warning and they'll tell you if that happens again, they'll shut down your account, meaning that you lose your website. So if you're paying $3 a month and they're telling you that you have unlimited hosting, don't believe that. It really isn't unlimited. And once again, for most people that have smaller websites or smaller e-stores, it's not really a concern because if you're getting 300, 400, 500 people at the same time on your website, that means you're doing well, or you should be doing well. And at this point, you should be upgrading to a better hosting package anyway. So most people will get, 100, few hundred people, maybe even a few thousand people per day, but not at the same moment. Once again, for most people, this also shouldn't be a concern, but it's something that you should keep in mind. I would also like to talk about big web hosting companies and their reputation, because often we see the same websites like GoDaddy. It's the one that everybody knows. They buy a lot of prime time and they advertise everywhere, and they're selling domain names and hosting, but they're mostly concentrating on domain names. There are many others like HostGator that are really, really known, but just because the company is big, it's everywhere and it's very known, doesn't mean it's good. And I've had to learn that the bad way with HostGator. I've been with them for about 7 years until they completely destroyed my trust. And what really happened is that my website started being down more and more often. Sometimes my website wouldn't be online for 12 hours straight. And when I would try to get a hold of their support, it would take a few hours of waiting in the chat room, and in the end they wouldn't solve that issue. They would tell me, well, it's back up again. And I told them, yeah, I know, I get it, it's back up, that's great, but I still lost hours and hours of time that my website wasn't accessible, and I probably lost money because of that as well. And this is just one example. They were good for quite a few years, but then all of a sudden their quality of the service went down. The quality of the support went down as well, and it felt like they have no support at all. They couldn't solve any issues that I had with my hosting, and they always tried to blame it on me, telling me that, no, that's your problem, that's your computer not working, when in fact I knew that it was a problem with hosting. Eventually, I had to cancel my plan with them, and I had to move all of my websites. But what's really interesting that they tried to charge me for another year of hosting even after I canceled that account. And that once again shows that, huge companies doesn't necessarily mean that they are good companies. They're just very big and powerful. And if they lose a client like me, they don't really care because they have thousands and thousands of new clients. And one of the biggest ways how and why HostGator got so big is because they have amazing affiliate payouts. They have a really, really big army of affiliate marketers promoting them. And they're paying out, I think, $100 per sale, regardless of how big or small that sale is. So if you sell someone a $40 package, hosting package, as an affiliate, you'll still get $100 commission. Basically, they're losing money on you, but they're hoping that the person will keep the website for several years and they'll make their money back and they'll make some more money. But they grew just because of that. And eventually, some other company took over their management. I'm not really sure what happened. I don't want to speculate on that. But as I mentioned, the quality of their service and their support went down, and I simply couldn't work with them anymore. I was actually losing money because of my hosting. So eventually I stumbled upon a company called Host with Love. It's a company based out of Singapore, although they have servers in US, several servers in America, and across the world. They're growing, they're expanding, but they're still rather small. And I went with them. The price was great. I felt a good vibe from those people, and their support was really amazing, and it still is to this day. And they don't have a phone support, which I find it's a good thing in 2017 because, well, I hate talking on the phone, first of all. Second of all, if you have phone support, this means you'll have to pay those support people a lot more money, which means that the customers will have to pay more for the service. So, their only support is email, but I like how it works. They usually reply really, really fast, especially if it's an urgent issue. They solve it usually within minutes. And all in all, in general, I haven't really had problems with them. They even helped me transfer all of my websites from HostGator to their platform completely free. And while I'm at it, I have to mention something before I forget. If you are using any kind of a web hosting provider, I don't care who that is, before canceling or before telling them that you're about to cancel, you should create a backup through cPanel if available and keep that backup safe off the server, download it to your computer and keep that. Because I've heard quite a few horror stories where people contacted support of certain website hosting providers and they told them that they want to cancel their account, and the support person did just that, canceled the account, revoked all access, and when that person realized that they don't have a backup, they lost their website completely. They would try to get in touch with that company and they told them, well, you should have made a backup, we can't help you anymore, we canceled your account and we deleted everything. And I don't believe in that. I'm sure they're keeping copies of everything, they're keeping backups of stuff for months and months, but once you're not the client anymore, some of these companies don't want to help you at all because, well, why would they? So make backups of your websites. Always have backups. Even if you're not moving your website, you should be making a backup from time to time because, anything could happen. Your website could get hacked. Your server might burn in the fire. I don't know, but you need to have a backup of your website in case anything happens. And once again, if you're canceling your web hosting, don't tell them. Make a backup first and then tell them that you're about to cancel. Last but not least, there are many different reviews of many different companies online. And to be honest with you, it's hard to find the truth looking through all those reviews because most of them, as you're well aware, are written by affiliate marketers, and not all affiliate marketers are honest, unfortunately. Many people are writing reviews and promoting those different companies just hoping to make a buck. They don't care about being dishonest, and they don't care that you might end up with a really bad hosting provider that will cause you issues, and in the end, your website wouldn't be working. So one place that I like to suggest that has lots of information on different web hosting providers, you could get in touch with those web hosting providers as well. You could read reviews, honest reviews from real customers. It's called Web Hosting Talk. It's a forum, and it's the biggest web hosting related forum out there. It's free to join, of course. It's a regular forum, and you could just go look in there and look through specials offered by different web hosting companies. You could look through reviews. You could even ask for a review. If you look through many different reviews and you haven't found anything mentioned about a very specific company that you're thinking of signing up with, you could put a request in there and ask people, has anyone tried the XYZ hosting or whatever? And if somebody did use it, they will tell you and they'll explain how the experience was. So I think this is the most unbiased website and resource for web hosting information, for finding a good host, and for reading real reviews. Now, if you want something more biased, you could join Host with Love through my affiliate link, of course, and I'll even provide you a 20% coupon. You'll find that in the show notes for this episode at extrapodcast.com/122. I'll also put other resources, and I'll put a link to my horror story with HostGator if you're interested in that in the show notes as well. If you have any questions about choosing a website hosting, or if you need any advice, or if you want me to look into something, please don't hesitate and let me know. In the show notes, there is a comment form and you could post your comment in there, or you could send me an email if you wish. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. If you haven't already, head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes to subscribe to the show. Please do leave a rating and a review. This will help the show tremendously, and I'll talk to you next Monday.